Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VO in Stereo. This week is really cool for me. We travel again to the land of far, far away. Please help me welcome everyone's favorite rock star from the land of Lederhosen, your captain of Bulldoggo, Armin Hester.
Thank you so much, Jared. Hello and welcome live from Germany, Munich, Bavaria. It's me, it's Armin, and thank you very much for having me and for this very warm welcome. Surely you have no taste whatsoever.
Absolutely not. I forgot to introduce one of my bestest friends, and during the introduction, Stephen Coghill's with us also. Woo!
Thanks for not forgetting me today.
Oh man, I love you. I'm so sorry. Let's do this thing. As usual, I get kind of excited, so I'm going to hand the first couple questions over to Stephen. Doot doot.
Bleep. So, Mr. Armin, thank you for being on. Appreciate you taking the time out to do this. My first question to you is, where did you grow up?
Okay. I think I never have been asked this question, to be honest. Well, then again, I had not so many interviews. But okay, I grew up in a place called Schwandorf, which is also in Bavaria, like the southern part of Germany. And it's about 150, 60 kilometers north of Munich, where usually the Oktoberfest is. But this year, okay, let's forget about that. So it's if Munich is, Germany is there, like US is over here. There's the US, there's Europe, and there's Germany, and there's Munich, and there is Schwandorf. 30,000 people live there. I left it at the age of 11. Then I went to Munich, and I was not even like in Schwandorf, like in this big town of 30,000 people living there. I was outside in the suburbs of Schwandorf, in a place called Kronstetten, which has like 2,000 people maybe, and there were like farming all around, and it was a pretty cool childhood, I have to say, because back those days, when you came home from school, you said, "Mom, I'm out with the boys," and she would say, "Oh yeah, sure," and she knew when not sunrise, the opposite of sunrise. Yeah. Yeah, and she knew, okay, if it's getting dark, the boys will be home. Nobody really cared what we did. Nobody was like, oh, but we need to protect them, or oh, what if they got hurt, or oh, what if they break their legs? Well, we did break our legs, and we did lots of funny stuff. And
are they wearing helmets?
Oh, helmets! I think they would have beaten me up big time if anybody would have wore a helmet. But well, I get it today. Oh, of course, it's protection. My kids, my daughter just fell with a bicycle, the 4-year-old one, Emma, and she had a big cut on her chin. It was spread open. It just happened last week, and I thought I see the bone. So I kind of panicked for 3 seconds until I got my, together, and then off to the hospital. So yeah. So, but things happen, and they happened to us. So that's where I grew up. It was an awesome time. Yeah, I have very fond memories of my childhood.
And did you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
Yes, and I still have. So I have an older.
You didn't lose them, thank God.
No. I have my older brother Felix, who's 2.5 years older than myself, and like growing up together, of course. Well, he was the bigger one, so he always got the stuff first. So new bicycle, he got it first. But actually, that was not a bad thing, because when he got new stuff, I could always say, I want new stuff too. And I got basically the same stuff 2.5 years earlier than he did. So it was not a bad thing to have an older brother. It was a bad thing when he was like chasing me and trying to beat me up. I think that's something older brothers just do. It's in their genetics. I don't know. But no, and when I left from Munich, he stood with dad in Schwandorf, and I went to mom to Munich because my parents got divorced. And when we got older, he came to Munich when he was 18, 19, something like that, after school. And I think it started then when we grew really strong together. And there's not a week passing by where we don't at least speak on the phone, and we see each other very often. He has a very boring job. He's doing tech stuff for General Electric, but I think he's really, really good at that. And I love him to pieces, and it's really great to have a strong family bound there.
That's awesome.
Oh, and by the way, I have a half sister too. God, I almost forget Caroline. My father married a very young woman later on. She's still alive. My father isn't, unfortunately. And they had a daughter, still there, Caroline, and she's a lawyer. And she's wonderful as well. Has a very great sense of humor. She hates people. Maybe that's why she became a lawyer in the first place. No. She has a wonderful sense of humor. I love her to pieces as well, and also very great and very close contact there. So yeah, I'm really blessed with my siblings.
That's awesome.
Did you have a creative upbringing? Were your parents creative, or your brothers and sisters creative? Or
my brother is the most uncreative person in the world. Will he see that? Anyway, no. No. My brother is highly intelligent, but he never played an instrument or something like that. My father played the violin, and he was one of the very first. No, I think he was the first that in school he played the Telemann concert for violin, and it seems to be a pretty big thing to play Telemann. Because it's pretty difficult, and so he was really great at it, but he didn't go on playing it after school, I believe. So when I grew up, I had this Bontempi org. Do you call it an organ? Organ? What do you call it? Organ?
Like this?
And it's yes, exactly. And it was like a kid's. It was a toy. It had like air pumped through to this plastic thing, and when you press down one of the keys, well, the air would go to some kind of fluty thing, and then it made a sound. The good thing was you could press all of them down, and they were all like making the sound. So, and it was my very first instrument that I can recall that I had, and I loved it. And I was teaching myself a little bit of, not piano, but like this organ thing. And I think I learned also like reading score a bit there. And but my father never really told me, okay, listen, son, I have to talk to you. It's about organs. It's not what you think. No. So he never, unfortunately, he was not a big family man. So he didn't say, okay, listen, you have to take music lessons. And actually, nobody really was interested in that. I was so close with that instrument. It was later when I moved to Munich to my mom, where she then said, okay, this boy has to get piano lessons. And has to have a proper piano. So we bought a 150-year-old thing, and it sounded horrible. This is why I probably quit the lessons after 2 years. But I never stopped playing the piano. Still have an electric piano. Good thing is it never gets out of tune, does it? So yeah, but I didn't have like a mentor, so to speak, that would have taken me by the side and say, I think you're not too shabby when it comes to music. Oh, I was in choir, and the teacher in choir, he or she thought I was kind of on that level where I should go to a special school where they had a very famous choir, Regensburger Domspatzen, very famous. Later on, also very famous because the priests did stuff with the kids that. Let's not go down there. But I was never there, so it didn't bother me.
So we can't blame you. Okay, that's fine.
No. So yeah, but I never had a mentor or something like that in the creative field.
Oh, interesting. So so from school, where did you go from there? Did you what kind of stuff did you get into from there?
So I went to school in Munich then, of course. In Germany, school, at that time, it was like 13 years. So you had like the basic school 4 years, and then comes grammar school that is for another 9 years. Well, for me, it was 10 years because, let's not talk about it. And, when I was just about to do my A-levels, or Abitur, as they call it in Germany, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought about, okay, chemistry is something you really, really like. The only science thing where you actually have good grades. And I thought about studying chemistry or computer science. And then something happened. I saw in a computer magazine. I was a nerd. Like I started programming when I was like 12 or 11 or 12 years old. I started programming, and I never stopped. So one day, shortly before like the final tests of the A levels, I see this computer magazine, and it has in the programming section where guys could send in their programs. So they would print the programs. You would get money for sending them in when they printed. And I saw a program that I had written for personal use just like 2 weeks earlier, and I thought, wow, what? This guy is getting like a double like a spread feature, 2 pages. And he probably got money with that. So next day I called a publishing company in Munich called Markt und Technik, and they published a few computer magazines. And I just called them and said, listen, I can do this and this and that. Are you in need of any freelance writers? And what I did not know was just a week before, half of their team quit to do their own magazine. So they all left. So this editorial office was desperately in need of writers and features. So on the phone, she told me, okay, you write this, this, and that. This is your deadline. Good luck with it. And I thought, okay, that was easy. And no, so but this is then when I thought, okay, maybe I become a junior writer. I like or a journalist. Long story short, half a year later, or no, not even half a year later, 3 months later, I get a call from the editor of the magazine, where like the newly created magazine, where those guys left from the other magazine. I got a call from the editor, and he was asking, he tried to poach me. And I said, well, how about you get me fully on board as a junior writer? And that's what we did. And it was my very first job. And I went there to become a junior writer and a journalist. And that was to get a little bit of time frame. That was in October 1990 when I started my very first job after school at age 20 then.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a story.
It's like the whole world's open, right?
I think it was the most boring piece in the world.
Right. So was it fun doing that job, or was it just a good training ground for you?
I'm not so sure if it was a really great training ground when it comes to like getting to know all or what journalism is all about. I'm not so sure about that, but the computer industry, of course, changes all the time. There's all the time something new coming up. So it was very thrilling in that way. It was very entertaining. It was never boring. I loved computers. I still do. And of course, I was responsible for the programming section of the magazine. So I was exactly where I wanted to be. And it was very, 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 very exciting because, well, in the computer world, everything changes within 6 months completely. And at that time was even worse. So, or even better, depending from what perspective you look at it. So, but there was, of course, one thing that there was no really, there was no glitter, there was no glory, there was no. It was a computer magazine. It was a magazine for nerds. It was not something like one of the big publications that sold like hundreds of thousands of magazines a month, and it was fun, but I was looking for something more thrilling, which then came along.
Yeah, and what came along?
Yeah.
Now we want to
leave
know.
us on the hook there. Come on, man. You reeled me in already. What was it, Armin?
I was sitting in a. Do you know what a beer garden is?
In my mind, I'm sitting in the middle of like on a lily pad, and all these people are bringing me beers, and I'm floating around in a circular hot tub with those chicks and the lederhosen. But no, you explain what yours is, because it's going to be completely different.
A beer garden is something like you have like in Bavaria. So you had the breweries, and the breweries had to when the beer was made, they had to keep it cool so it would be still good in a few months. So they put it into beer cellars. But of course you have the sun, and so that the sun doesn't heat up the cellars so much, they had the area like ground level where they planted trees, though they had enough shade so that it would not get too hot in those cellars. And then they thought, okay, what can we do with those free areas with just a few trees? And they opened it for the public so they could come. Then they opened a restaurant, served food, and of course their beer. And it had always been the case that if you go to a beer garden, a traditional beer garden in Bavaria, you can bring your own food, but you can't bring your own drinks. So you always have to buy the drinks at the beer garden, but you're totally fine to bring everything you need for food-wise. So this is why a beer garden is very gemütlich. Gemütlich is a word, look it up. It's a Bavarian word, difficult to explain. So, but it's a very cozy place. It's a great place to be. So, beer garden. I'm sitting in the beer garden, 1992, kind of complaining, yeah, my job is great, but I'm looking for something else. And then a friend of mine, her mother was publishing director for Penthouse magazine in Germany. And she said they are looking at the Penthouse office. They're looking for a new senior writer. And yeah, sure. They would want somebody that comes from a computer magazine. Are you kidding me? And she said, well, it doesn't hurt if I ask my ma. And I said, well, okay, yeah, it doesn't hurt. So next day, her mom calls me and said, Armin, my daughter told me you might be interested in a job. And I said, yeah, well, sure. Yeah, okay, can you come in today? The editor-in-chief wants to talk to you. So I went, no, the next day, the next day. So I bought all the men's magazines that I could find at the main station. And you can imagine how that looked like. Comes in a guy, 22, like looking like a complete nerd because I was in the middle of programming a demo for the new computer that Atari brought out, the Atari Falcon. And so I looked like Super Nerd. And Super Nerd comes into the shop and buys Penthouse, Playboy, Hustler, you name it. Can you imagine the look of the very good-looking girl that was behind the counter? Okay, anyway, so I went...
This is all for research, I promise. It's all for research. Would you like to go out on a date later?
No, I was thinking, should I tell her that I need that because I applied for a job there? And I thought, nobody...
She's not going to believe you.
So I did not do that.
Research.
Yeah. She just put them in a not see-through bag, and off I went. So I went through all those magazines. Next day, I went. I go to the interview, and we are going through the latest issue of Penthouse magazine. And he's like opening the magazine and wants to go over the contents page, and he like flips it out and said, "Oh, wait a second. I think the contents page is crap." And he's like, "What?" And I said, I think it could be done like this. Like I was completely like, well, he said, well, now that you say it, we're going to change it next month, actually. And very good points that you made there. So we went through the whole magazine. I told him what I can do, how long I would be willing to work, and how many of my hands I would give to work for him, because I thought this is a chance, and you have to promise the world to this guy. Otherwise, well, you have to make an impression.
Right.
3 days later, I get a call and I had the job, and that was pretty cool. I was in the advertising agency of a friend of mine when I received the call, and I was jumping really like up and said I got the job at Penthouse. And there was this designer. She turned around and said, "And you're happy because of that?" Like completely like not understanding what just happened. And I was just looking at her and eating her muesli or whatever she had there, and said, "Oh, yeah, well, you will never understand." And so yeah, and that was a pretty cool thing. So I went to Penthouse magazine and later then. Youth magazines, and then again another man's magazine, and then I got out of publishing because because probably I was not that great of a journalist after all. And the financial crisis happened, and they chopped off the hats that were most expensive, and I was one of those hats. So yeah, 2008 was not a particularly good year when it comes to my career as a, well, then publishing director. So I moved from junior writer, senior writer, and I became editor of a few magazines, and then I went to the management, and that was not a good decision, obviously. But yeah, but it was fun. I had a lot of fun at that time.
So you didn't get Hugh Hefner like calling you up, giving you a counter offer. Come over to Playboy.
Yeah,
hey.
Yeah, see, that never happened. But I know the editor of German Playboy very well. He's a friend of mine, and he used to know Hugh. But I never made it to the Playboy Mansion. Boy, that would have been a great trip. No, I missed that one.
Darn.
You could have snuck in a cake.
A man can dream.
You sneak in a cake and jump out for the birthday surprise.
Yeah, nobody would have liked that.
No.
It's enough Armin for everyone. I brought Jared too. Why is Jared here? Hey man, be quiet. I'm
It's
telling
like
the story.
Dungeons and Dragons for everyone.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wizard, 22nd level.
Wizards and Warlock.
Oh,
That's right.
Snap.
Solid.
Alakazam.
Alakazam. Answer me these questions 3.
Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail.
Right, like Monty Python, exactly.
Oh, it's so great. I can't do it in English because I hardly watch them in English because we have dubbed movies over here. But it's pretty awesome in German as well.
Oh, that's
We'll
awesome.
take it in German.
I know.
Wer über diese Brücke will gehen, muss 3-mal Frage und Antwort stehen. Erst dann darf er die andere Seite sehen. Wie schnell fliegt eine unbeladene Taube? Eine afrikanische oder eine europäische Taube? Woher soll ich das wissen?
And now we dance.
Now we need some subtitles going underneath there.
That's awesome.
That is
Dude, we're gonna get the subtitle the hell out of that.
Yes.
Of course you do.
We need it. We need it.
Fantastical.
So then you went, so you were at Penthouse, then you moved from there, and then where did the financial market hit, and then when did you end up doing?
So in 2004, so like we rewind.
Okay.
2004, a colleague of mine, he worked for FHM magazine. It was a lad magazine, a bloke magazine that was very successful in the UK and 26 other countries. And we also had a German edition. And he was overlooking that thing. And they needed a new commercial, or like a new voiceover for the same commercial. Like new issue is out, so they needed kind of different wording. And they said, Armin, do you know any voiceover talent? It needs to be done quickly, cheap, and dirty. And I said, well, you compliment me all the time on my voice, so why don't you just take me? We go to the studio, and if it doesn't work out, well, you have lost nothing. So he said he agreed, and we went to that studio, and I did my very, very first work as a voiceover talent. I didn't know shit, and so the guy in the studio. Pardon?
I said that's a rousing endorsement.
I didn't know shit.
I didn't know shit about this VO stuff.
But I know how to be a sexy mofo.
Of course, the guy in the studio recognized immediately that I had no clue whatsoever. But he said, "Okay, you just follow my direction, and if you can do that, we'll all be fine." And quarter of an hour later, that thing was there, and like the punchline that I had to say was, "FHM, Männer sind so," and that was my line. And so we did that, and then I thought, oh, Armin, you're a voiceover talent. You just became a voiceover talent in 15 minutes. Well, I was so naive, and so what I did is I took a CD with just that thing, FHM, Männer sind so, and I took that, and I sent it to all the agencies I could find. Now, make a guess. How many do you think replied?
34.
Zip.
Zip is a very good answer. None of them replied. And
I would have replied and been like, "There's only one track 6 seconds long. Where's the other tracks?"
Yeah. This is all I can afford. This is all I can afford.
What do you mean?
6
What do you
second
mean?
demo.
That's it.
I looked online. I thought, okay, maybe I find something online, and I found a website. And I'm not ashamed to say, or afraid to say even, I found Voice 123. That was 2004 or maybe 2005, I don't know. And so I thought, oh, that's an interesting thing. So you had to pay to be in their roster, and they would send you auditions. But then I thought, well, it's a Canadian website. Was it Canadian? Or I don't know where they have been based at that time. It was not Canadian, because the idiot of the North comes from Canada. I don't know. No, I'm not sure. So where they have been based, but it was still Terregna. I always forget this name. Anyway, so, and I saw, well, will there be any jobs for German talents? So I saw some German talents, and I sent one of them a message and said, "Is it any good?" And this guy, I didn't know that, was the president of the union in Germany. Well, kind of a union. It's not an official union, but it's kind of a union for voiceover talents. And he was the president. And he told me, well, the budgets are not really that great. I made a few jobs. It's okay, but I'm not sure whether I revamp or renew my membership. And I thought, well, I'm a noob. I went all in. And I got my very first clients, and through Voice 123. And I always thought, damn, why isn't there a German website like Voice 123? And I looked it up, and there must be like a website like that. And there wasn't a website like that. And I thought, well, and then 4 years pass along. And in 2007, I was pretty shit-faced sitting at the Oktoberfest with like 4 masters already in my head. And I was like complaining to the people on at the table in a beer tent. I mean, was like, nobody's doing that, and it's such a great idea. And I was moaning probably for 3 years. And then I went home and I said, nobody's ever going to do it. I do it myself. And that's when I started coding Bodalgo. It was September, 25th of 2007. I was really hammered, and I started to code the very first line of Bodalgo.
That's beautiful.
It is a beautiful story.
I mean, that's the most beautiful thing I had. I just been in a garden museum. I had the ideas. Mwah, it's beautiful.
And this is probably how I looked like when I was at that night when I started coding, because I didn't do any. I had not done any web development at all. So I saw this programming or language PHP, which is very, very similar to C for all you programming aficionados out there. So I knew a bit of what's going on, and I just thought, okay, let's see if you can do it, if you can pull that off. And January 8th, 2008, so like 3-4 months later, the very, very first Bodalgo thing showed up. It was a beautiful thing.
And now it is the mightiest site there is on the
And now
internet.
it's the mightiest site in the world.
You want awards? We got awards, fool. Step right in. You want innovation? That's all we do here, chump. I mean, I'm not biased or anything. I'm sorry. I am a little
No, but again, but this was before I lost my job. I started that actually as a part-time project, or like as a spare time project, and then in March 2008, like 3 months later, I went into a marketing meeting. So they told me, and they handed me my what do you call it, resignation letter?
walking papers.
Yeah, they fired me, and
Sons of bitches.
no, and I used all the money that they had to give me. They because I was 10 years or 11 years with the company, and they wanted to give me like 20,000 euros. And I say, I don't think that'll cut it. And they were then trying, no, we don't pay more. Well, a day before we went to court, because of course I sued them, A day before they went to court, my lawyer, who was a brilliant guy, he was an awesome guy. He said, Mr. Hierstetter, I think we now came to a final deal. It's 82,500 euros that they will have to pay you. And I think, that's good. And he said, no, 83,000 we can still get. And then I knew, okay, I have the right guy there. So they paid me that, and I put it all into the new business, because I thought, okay, with 83,000, you're kind of good for 2-3 years. And no matter what you do, and maybe even more longer than 2-3 years, but of course you need to invest in your business. So money goes down the drain really fast if you're stupid. And boy, was I stupid with some things. But when you do your first business and you have no clue, you have never been self-employed, of course you do stupid mistakes, and that's part of the story. But it's also very I always when I looking back, I should have started that much. I should have become self-employed much earlier. But I always had the fear, like, who's going to pay the rent if it's not working out? Who is bringing food to the table if it's not working out? And all those fears there. And it turned out it was never an issue to put food on the plate. Yeah, did I have sleepless nights being self-employed? Of course, yes, especially in the beginning when your first like turnover comes in and it's 300 euros, like in March or April 2008, and then you bring home 400 euro, 300 euros, 400 euros, and you think, well, it has to improve a little bit, doesn't it? Otherwise, your money will be gone quicker than you can say insolvent. So, but the freedom, the incredible freedom that you have when you're self-employed, when there is no boss around, when you don't have to explain to mentally retarded people every idea that is that should be understood by a 2-year-old, and you want to try that out, and you don't have to overcome all those naysayers and people that are always worried all the time, and that only blockades on your trip to prosperity. That is such a relief, and it's total and utter freedom, and that was and still is. It's the best part of being self-employed, is this total paradise of freedom.
Yeah. Well, I noticed Baldalgo's, it's really been like growing, and you add stuff all the time, which is really cool. You like come up with new innovations, like, well, they have that, but we should have that too. I think that's awesome.
In the bar.
Well, it's the nerd. because okay, the basic functionality of an online casting website is the matchmaking. Okay, you have the talents there, or they have the jobs there, you have the talents there, and okay, if a job gets posted, okay, we have to match those jobs there. That's an easy thing to do. Many people do it. So that's the basic functionality of online casting. But when you then see, and it evolves all the time, there's new functionality in your browser all the time. 2008, when I started, there wasn't no thing that was called WebRTC. That's the API where all those remote directing, remote recording services, IPDTL, Session Link Pro, Source Connect, you name it, they're all based on this technology. And that was not around in 2008, but it was around in 2012 and onwards, baby shoes at that time, but it got more mature, and I thought, I have to integrate that, but then there was so many other things to do, and finally in 2015, Bodalgo Call, I integrated that. I think I was the first one that like could do more than 2 parties in one session, because the others only concentrated of like bringing 2 parties together. That was their thing, but we do that really, really well with all the bells and whistles. And the guy from IPDTL is a superstar, not only the programmer that we have never seen, because he is probably really a nerd, but he's a genius when you look at the code and what they're doing. And also the CEO of IPDTL, he's an awesome dancer too. I'm not sure if you saw him. Was it VO Atlanta? I'm not sure. Anyway, so they have good products there as well. They're just focusing on a different area. And with Bodalgo, I can focus with the new additions I bring to Bodalgo, like Bodalgo Call. I don't need to make money with that. First of all, it's a technology that I didn't invent. I just built an app around it. But the technology and the brains have been done by completely different people, and they never get the credit. And I felt it was like unfair that I cash in for something that I didn't really create. Okay, yeah, the app around it, but the basic technology, the donkey work was done by others. So and Bodalgo itself creates the income stream that I need, and that's fine, and all hunky-dory, and Bob's your uncle. And so that's why I don't need to be greedy to get another product out that I need to market, and that I need to create money out of it. But it's the nerd that says, wow, that would be so cool if Bodalgo had that. And it was the same thing with other stuff that Bodalgo offers. The latest edition, of course, Bodalgo Prompter, this online teleprompter that you could use with a camera, and like a teleprompter setting that you have, but you could also use it in your booth, where you just have like your I don't know, iPad or whatever device you use, and you don't have to scroll. It just scrolls for you, and it works like magic, and it works really, really cool. And it has nice advanced features, and people like it. Got really a smash hit with the talents, because they saw that. Said there was one guy, not sure who it was, so I don't want to tell a wrong name. And he said, Armin, usually when I read from the script, and because of all this like scrolling or flipping the pages, I do so many mistakes. But with that, I can concentrate so wonderfully on the script that I hardly do any mistakes anymore. And this is where you think, awesome. You really created something that is actually useful. And apart from my kids, this hasn't happened so many times.
So does this work with like speech recognition, and it knows what you're saying and it moves the script as you go?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I might will integrate that, because I talk about that later, because I just use speech recognition for something else. If I don't forget, I talk about that. No, this is really like you can change the tempo with how fast it scrolls.
Okay.
And as normally your speed of talking doesn't change too much, and you could always, of course, stop and start, or just adjust the speed even while you're reading. But I think most of the people will agree that once you have the sweet spot for the speed, then it's fine. Then you don't have to have this like, okay, I need to recognize the words that have been spoken, so I know when to scroll up. But I think in a future not so far away, in a universe, in a galaxy far, far away. No.
Let's get some lasers.
Yeah. So this might come like as an option, like where you could say, okay, can you please listen to my voice and scroll accordingly? I've seen solutions like that. I was not really convinced, because the scrolling always was choppy, and I didn't like it. So it would have to be done in a different way. But
well, it's like a lot of people talk about how voiceover is a lot like related BPMs to music. Like a lot of people who have music backgrounds do a lot better, and that the flow, just that rhythmic.
And you have a flow. Yes, absolutely. I think you have a flow, especially, of course. Well, if you have a 30-second commercial where you have pauses and so on, no, this will not work. But then that script fits on a screen anyway. You don't need to scroll. But if you have something like e-learning, like when you are in the flow of like, okay, this is a good pace for the people to get the message, can concentrate on what I'm telling you. Or the same thing with corporate narration, where, okay, and if you would have to make a pause, well, but you're cutting it anyway later to the video.
Yeah, you're saying it kind of sets a pace. It kind of like there's a pacing that you can.
There's a pace, and you can choose your pace, and you adjust it once, and once you know your sweet spot, you just start it, and it really works cool, and it's completely for free. Well, okay, with a Bodalgo prompter, you need to be registered with Bodalgo, because with Bodalgo Call you don't even need to be registered. You can just use it. With Bodalgo prompter you need, but that has for technical reasons, you need to be registered, because when I have a computer in front of me and I have a teleprompter in front of my camera, I want to be able to control the teleprompter with my computer that is right in front of me. So I don't have to go backwards and forwards to the teleprompter. And in order to be able to do that, I need kind of an anchor. And the anchor is you're logged in. And then you can make script changes, you can change the speed, you can do whatever you want with any other computer, and you can control the device that is doing the actually teleprompting, and that is very powerful. It works like magic. I think it works best of all the teleprompters I've seen.
I checked it out. It's cool. It's cool.
And it's completely for free for all. And again, and it was a 3-day hack. It was not something where I would have to study and do research and need 100 hours man hours to the coding. It was an idea. I thought it was great. I sat down and coded it, and after 3 days there was a really nicely working beta version there. And now I think it's already it outshines most of the competition.
It's fantabulous.
Oh, I love my modesty. I really have to say, can we just have a minute of silence for my modesty? No, I'm kidding. I'm very thankful that the people
modesty. Man, I hope I didn't have any bats in the cave when I did.
I thought, is that a bogey?
There's a bogey in there. You dropped a little Easter egg a few minutes ago about, if I have time to talk about this special top secret weapon I'm developing. So,
sorry.
I'm all ears. What is this new?
No, it's not a secret weapon, but it's something that has bugged me for quite some time. So the big issue with job postings is that, and I can understand the clients. The clients comes to the webpage, maybe for the first time, maybe he already posted 100 jobs, and it's always the same. They do not have time to explain what they're actually looking for. Well, sometimes they don't even know what they're actually looking for because their clients haven't told them, but that's a different thing. So let's talk about somebody that knows what he's looking for in a voice talent, but he has not the time or the nerve or whatever to actually in detail type it down. Okay, we are looking for a voiceover talent, 32, blah, 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 for something like that. Blah, blah, blah. And that could be that they're lazy, but most of the time I think they really have different things on their plate. So how can we help them? And what can we do to not have to have them type it up, because it doesn't work. But it turns out we have a solution. We have a solution for 30 years. Well, not 30, 20 years. It's called speech recognition. And in modern browsers like Chrome, you have a built-in speech recognition. Again, this is something where I haven't done the donkey work. Others have done the donkey work. I just built the app around what far greater people than myself created. So now when it's not live yet, but it will probably go live. Tomorrow is a bank holiday, so I have to be with my girls. Well, I want to be with my kids, but on Thursday probably go live, and it will work like this. So in the field where you can enter the description of a job, you are presented with a microphone button and a language setting, because I need to know in which language you will be talking. And the language setting will be either it's English. Bodalgo always accepts if a description is in English, because we just assume that everybody using Bodalgo speaks a bit of English. That's just an assumption that we do. I think it's true in 99% of the cases. Then if the job is for a German person, if you're looking like for a German talent, then you can also talk, of course, in English. If you say, but we also need a foreign language, French, like a native German, but he needs to be able to speak French, then you can also choose French as the language you are about to dictate your description in. And then you click the button and then you say, for a TV commercial, national, we are looking for a voiceover talent that is between 30 and 40 years old, a little bit snobby, just like Armin, bit arrogant, but also, and it writes it for you. And it really works well. And if you say like full stop, it even does a full stop and it will start the next sentence with a capital letter. So things like that. So it really works nicely for you. And of course, afterwards, after you finished your description, you can, if you want to, you can edit the stuff, but I will look at it later anyway. And if there's something wrong, then I will edit it out. So, and I hope that I help then clients to be a bit more descriptive about what they're actually looking for. It would be a great thing. I will promote it. I will make a video about it. And then it's up to the clients if they really want to use it. But it works really nicely. The speech recognition of Chrome is a star. It's a marvel. It works absolutely fantastic. And it was like, I don't think, it was not more than 30, 40 lines of code. So it was really, really easy to integrate. Well, a little bit of brain work, yes, but it's really easy. And
there goes that modesty again.
Yeah. Cheers to modesty.
Cheers to modesty. Wherever the hell she's at.
So let's see. I hope the clients will use it. The worst thing is if you create something and you think, that's such a great idea, we have to have it, it's so cool. And then you see nobody uses it. And it was in the beginning like that with Bodalgo Call. It took you can't imagine, because that was, although the background work had already been done by the guys that invented or that coded the underlying framework for the whole thing, it was still pretty difficult to get it working, because it was still baby shoes and it was not that easy. And I had horrible nights making a ride, and then nobody used it. And I was really like, wow, you bloody fill in any insult. Why are you not using? Why are you using all this other shit and not Bodalgo Call? And you have to pay for that. Are you completely mental?
Because it's what they told me to do. It's what the forum said.
It's what everybody
said. I think it's many clients. The clients know, they know. Of course, the players that had been in the market for years, and they have this subscription. Of course, you would, if I would have a subscription on I don't know, Session Link Pro or IPDTL, of course I would. I send you the IPDTL link and Bob's your uncle. So no, I get it. But since Corona, of course, it went off the charts. The people are really using it, and as far as I can tell, it seems to be running really fantastically. And sometimes there are 4 or 5 people in a session, which just doesn't work with any of the others. And that's, of course, then I think, okay, yeah, that's great. If something is used and people are coming back, say, I had an hour session yesterday, not one glitch, and then now that it can record internally and even to WAV files, and you just record it and it's just there, and you have a podcast with like 3 people, because it's not only for voiceover talents. If you're doing a podcast, you can use it as well, and you record the whole thing into individual tracks. It's just like, it just works. And what is this thing? I like it when a plan comes together.
Plan comes together. That's for sure. I got a question for you, Armin. So
yeah.
Are you going to do anything at all for the voiceover community, or are you just going to keep being lazy?
I think you have to pull out your finger from your nowhere, and you have to. No, I'm doing no, not at all.
And you're fantastic. I got a couple more questions for you, and then you're gonna hopefully tell everybody where they can find you, and if you want to give any more extra information, you can. I kind of want to know if you have any tidbits of information for, because we're getting flooded with new people coming in the market all the time. And it doesn't have to be necessarily for them, but just a little bit of advice for anyone coming into this industry who has that assumption that this is going to be some easy things to do.
Okay. Yeah. So I can completely understand that in especially, I think I'm gonna have to kick myself if I say one more time, especially in those times.
It
But
was a cold, dark time back in.
It was a cold, dark winter's night in Germany.
2020.
No, so I can understand that people think. I have heard so many times that I have a voice that is not too shabby, and the people tell me, "Oh, you should be in radio," and that they think because they hear it time and time again. And there are people out there with very, very cool voices. What they have to understand, and what the newbies have to understand, and when I say newbies, I don't mean it in any bad way. It's just a term for you are new to the industry. It's a good start to have, let's say, well, either a very charming voice or a very unique voice. That is a very good start. But it's just that and nothing else, because to get really good at what's called doing a voiceover there's a lot of learning included, and it's not like you buy a microphone, you buy a preamp, and off we go. No, because you don't know anything about direction, about diction, about how to use your voice, about breathing, about accents, about not to have an accent. You don't know anything, and you're not born with that knowledge. And you need to have this knowledge, because otherwise the shark will eat you alive, and you spend a fortune and you're completely bankrupt. And you said, but all I wanted was becoming a voiceover talent. Yeah, but it's not working like that. So if you really want to find out if that's for you, there's a few things that I would do and would not do. The first thing that you don't do is you don't go out there and buy a Neumann U87 just because you think it's a great mic. Well, it's 2,500 at the moment, and no, you don't do that. You don't buy any gear whatsoever. The first thing that you do is, if you really think that's something you want to go, you maybe go to a coach and have a lesson with him to find out, is this something that is that what I would expect? Where the coach is like maybe a little sparring partner in your very first lesson, where you said, okay, this is what you would have to expect in the booth. Oh, can you do that again? But can you add a little bit of more red carpet? Slightly arrogant, but still approachable. We're rolling. Can you do that? So to find out, what is this all about? A boat. I'm sounding Canadian now, don't I? A boat.
Well, hey, it's all about you're going to go get some poutine out there with Mark and everything. It's going to be a good time.
Hey, Mark Scott. So, so this will be one thing. Try to find a coach, and maybe get even like a free consultation for this very, very, very early step. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars. Now, if you're still thinking that's a good thing, then you say, okay, maybe you stay with the same coach and you ask him, okay, if you think I bring to the table as a starter what it needs, what will be my next steps? And then it's, of course, coaching. It's like, okay, how can I build my studio without spending $10,000? Because that's not necessary nowadays anymore. There are wonderful microphones, SE Electronics. Lewitt has wonderful microphones. The Lewitt 440 for 250. It's a great microphone. Is it the best microphone in the world? No, but it's a wonderful microphone that will suit many, many voice types. The 550 is a great. So I like Lewitt. I know there are other people. Hello, you Edwards. I know you don't. But there are many great microphones out there, and even many more than those we just mentioned, that are like in the 200, 300, 400 area, that are fantastic and will serve you for years to come. So and then of course you need a decent preamp or audio interface. You don't need a preamp. You need a decent audio interface to start with. And everything will be fine. And at the end of the day, there is no need to spend more than 1,500 euros. This is not including your whisper room. But we all know we have been lying under the bed sheets and doing our voiceovers. We have been in the wardrobe doing the voiceovers. So you do not need a whisper room, like a proper soundproof room. You can do that later on when you're like doing 50, 70, 100 grand a year with voiceover. Then you can think about that. But no, in the beginning, you just want to sound okay, and the coach will help you. And if the coach can't help you, you go to Tim Tippett's, the VO guru, VO tech guru, or you go to Uncle Roy from, what is it called?
I went to Uncle Roy.
Antland Productions.
Yes,
Is it
Antland
Antland?
Productions.
Yes. So you're going, you talk to those guys. They're super friendly. They're super helpful. So don't spend money before you're not sure that you actually want to do that, and that you actually have what it takes. And if you finally found out that you have what it takes, before you start, oh, where can I find an agent? You ask yourself, how can I be good at what I do? This is the first thing you do. And once you are good, and you're only good if the coach says you are ready, and not a coach that just is looking at your credit card, but a coach you can trust.
Trusted coach, because there's plenty of people who take your damn money.
That's for sure.
Go to the forums. They will tell you lots about. JMC comes to mind. J. Michael Collins comes to mind when you're looking for a great coach. But there's also Anganguza. There lots of here. Cliff Selman is another one. There's many good coaches out there. But yeah, do a little bit of research. You have to do your due diligence. Don't be stupid. Don't let people fleece you like the sheeple. You need to you want to have the best for your bucks, and you only want to pay for something that is really good. So yeah, don't waste your money, and keep it cool. Don't rush it. There's no need to rush. Make educated decisions. This is the best thing for every newcomer to this industry. Make educated decisions. Go to all the Facebook groups. There's tons of information out there. No need to get fleeced.
True. And where can everybody find you, sir, if they would like to find you?
Well, that's easy. Armin@bodalgo.com. ARMIN @bodalgo.com. Send me a mail. You find me on Twitter. Bodalgo is on Twitter. Bodalgo is on Facebook. Bodalgo is on Instagram. Can you believe it? Bodalgo is now on Instagram as well.
Awesome.
So you find Bodalgo and myself on all the usual channels, and you can always shoot me a mail. Usually I'm pretty good at being responsive to mails. Sometimes it can take a few days. If it takes more than like a fortnight, just send me another mail. If you're nice, then usually I respond really, really well to that. And that's all. Don't sign up for Bodalgo if you are not a professionally trained talent, because your profile will get deleted unless you are some kind of miracle superstar that just has it and does everything right. Rarely happens, I have to say. But you can write your questions to me. Go to the YouTube channel that we have. I just saw an FAQ section on that. Drop me a line if there's any question that you want me to talk about, and we take it from there.
Awesome.
Well, guys, I guess that's it for another episode of VO in Stereo. As always, I'm your host, Jared Breshers, along with
Stephen Coghill.
Love that dude. Armin, thank you so much. Cheers.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers to you,
Armin.
Stevens. Cheers to you, Jared. Thank you so much for having me and listen to my boring stories. Hope to see you soon. And yeah, well, until then, stay healthy.